I will introduce our panel, and just before I do, I just wanted to let you know what the panel has been asked to address, and really what we would like each panel member to do is introduce themselves, what their business is, and what some of the challenges are with bringing local foods to our community. And so that's where they're going to start, and we ask you to hold your questions till the end, because I think we'd like to have that interactive panel when we're bringing everyone up at the same time to answer questions. So we're going to start with France Fournier, who is from Whole Foods Market, and I'll invite France up at this point. And I'm sorry, I don't have your bio, so if you could talk about
bio,
where you're from, and just introduce yourself. Thank you.
Well, I am so impressed to see the turnout tonight. My name is France Fournier. I'm the Marketing and Community Relations Specialist for Whole Foods Market. If you don't know who Whole Foods is, we're a natural and organic grocery store in Oakville. We recently opened Square One in August, and we have a location in Yorkville. I absolutely believe in eating locally, eating in season, which I think people have forgotten what that even means. If you haven't signed up for your Veg Pledge with the Royal Botanical Gardens Veggie Village, I ask you to do some. They've got some on the table over there. The Veg Pledge is basically you're pledging to eat locally at least once a week for 1 year. And that's easily done, and we just don't think about it. So I signed up. We had the Veg Pledge at the store throughout the summer, trying to get people to sign up and to take that pledge, because when it's at the front of your mind, when you're shopping, to look for local products, look what's in season. People have forgotten, we talked about eating from a box, but that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. I'll get all passionate about it and start going. So at Whole Foods Market, we try, our ideal is to source locally from the communities that we do business in. And I was talking to, I've forgotten your first name, Bonnie, from Wild Goose, the Jams, and so she's been talking to Whole Foods to get our product in, and she's been patient, and there's lots of back and forth, and I'm going to try to help move the process along. So let's talk about that. New Moon Bakery is a bakery out of Toronto that does business with us. Our history and reputation, as I mentioned, is intimately linked to local farmers and producers. Whole Foods Market started one gentleman, his name is John Mackey, a 19-year-old college dropout who started one little store in Austin, Texas in 1980, because he was concerned that the food that his grandparents ate was not the same food that he was eating any longer. We had gotten away from what whole foods are, natural foods. No artificial colors, no artificial preservatives, no artificial flavorings, no hydrogenated fats. Those are the type of products that we carry in our stores. When we say we're a natural and organic grocery store, we carry organic product, but we carry what we call natural product. So free of preservatives, free of artificial flavors, free of artificial colors, free of hydrogenated fats. What is local? You see that all over the place. What is local? And frankly, there's no mandated definition as to what is local. Our 3 stores in Ontario, Yorkville, Oakville, and Square One, we define local as what we can source in Ontario. The Ontario stores are part of the Midwest region. Whole Foods Market is an American company, and so I'm not sure why we got lumped in with Chicago and so on, but for our Midwest region, they have a 250-mile radius as to what they consider local. The benefits, well, I think that if you're here tonight, you already understand the benefits of eating locally. You're supporting your local farmers. It's a healthier alternative for yourself and for the environment, and frankly, supporting our local farms in terms of what they do. I'm going to switch completely here. I'm trying to get a lot of information in the 10 minutes. Whole Foods has a long history of educating people about healthy eating habits, about healthy food, what what constitutes healthy food. And through that education, we also like to support our suppliers, our vendors. There are a number of vendors that started to deal with us. One vendor is, I didn't feature her here, Jennifer from Tickle Your Tummy Cookies. Jennifer provides a product that is completely nut-free, which if you have kids in the school system is a big bonus. She started to sell with the Oakville store. What happened, we had some visitors from Chicago who saw this fantastic product and went, oh my gosh, we want to get that in our stores in Chicago. And so she did. What happened is, Jennifer wasn't ready. So, the show Dragon Den? Well, Jennifer went on Dragon Den and got some money to expand her business. But one of the other things we do is our local loan producer program. So annually, Whole Foods Market commits up to $10 million that it will give out in small, low-interest loans to independent and local farmers. The loan amounts can vary between $1,000 and $100,000. And the program was launched in 2006. 50 loans have been made so far, over $5 million loaned to local farmers. Sadly, not one of them in Canada. And so I'm hoping that we'll get one out of this area. Why do we do that? Well, it strengthens our partnerships. At Whole Foods Market, we work very much in partnership with our vendors. We work closely with our vendors. Our teams, so our teams are our meat department, our produce department, our seafood department. We call them teams. They're self-managed teams that manage their departments. They buy their own products. They deal with their vendors themselves. And so there's very much a relationship that goes there. Some of the reasons for the loans would be if you're looking to expand your production or your business, certainly looking for a business plan. Is an existing relationship with Whole Foods Market an absolute necessity? Not really. It's ideal that you're already a vendor with us, but it's not procurement to the loan. One thing that I will, Whole Foods Market has the highest quality standards in terms of the products that we sell in our store, of any store. We stick to those quality standards because they are part of what our brand is. So before you can even qualify for the loan, you have to make sure that your product meets with our quality standards, which you can find on our website. This is just some of the basics with regards to loans. Obviously, low interest rates, no penalty for an early repayment, administrative fees are kept to a minimum, minimal paperwork. My background before I was with Whole Foods Market was in banking. So I smile when they say minimum paperwork and a short time frame for the decision. Some of the other basics with regards to 80% of your total cost, collateral may be required, and so on. The application is available online at wholefoodsmarket.com/loans. It automatically gets routed to our Whole Foods Market regional office. So for us, it would be our Midwest office in Chicago. And the process usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to go through.
Hello, I'm Tobias Polweary. I'm the chef and owner of Veg Pledge Bistro. We're a small restaurant in downtown Burlington on John Street, and we opened about 2.25 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I've been a chef now for since I started working back in my teens, but my first experience ever was in a kitchen was under Jamie Kennedy when I was about 12, and then at the King Edward Hotel in Toronto. And at age 17, I met a chef named Michael Statlander, who has done wonderful things with local food, and I knew him for about 3 years as well during my teens. About 2.5 years ago, I decided it was time to start my own business, and I looked all over the place. I live in Burlington, and something that I realized was nobody was doing, or there were very few places doing the food. About 2.5 years ago, I started my own business, and so was saying, I was looking for a location that I could start to produce the food that I like to produce and using local ingredients. And I heard a lot of people around Burlington asking about using local, but it didn't seem to be something that was done that much in the area. And so I found the location I'm in, which is over on John Street, and put the restaurant together and sort of opened the doors without really putting much out there in the way of marketing or really telling many people that I had actually opened a restaurant. And bit by bit, and sort of every month, it sort of met some new people, some more people came to the restaurant, and bit by bit it's sort of grown, and now happy to say we continue to grow every month. It's a little bit stronger. My restaurant focuses on what I call modern Canadian cuisine. That to me is something sort of, it's interesting that very few people in Canada can really say what Canadian cuisine is. There's American cuisine, there's Southern, there's Latin, Italian, but not too many people can really say what Canadian food is. And to me, what I determine to be Canadian is food that is using the items that are grown locally, that are grown in Canadian sources. And Canada is a very vibrant, multicultural culture, so my food tends to express that, in that you'll come to my restaurant, you'll get flavors from India, you'll get flavors from Asia, you'll get flavors from European cuisine, and you'll get Italian and so on. But it'll be using the local ingredients, and it'll be using things that are sometimes specific to the area, such as sumac or nettles, or a lot of game, a lot of local mushrooms, local things that are gathered and wild caught. To me, I try and focus on local as much as possible. Being a restaurant, you can't be 100% local, and so I don't even attempt. I can't run my restaurant without coffee. Can't run it without lemons or limes or chocolate. And these things will never be grown in Canada. But what I can do is, when items are available, focus on those. At this point, I'm probably about 98% local produce in my restaurant. All of the meat that I have is grown in Southern Ontario, or is raised in Southern Ontario. Probably 95% of the fish that I use is caught in Canadian waters. I don't say local for fish simply because there's no oceans for local, and at a certain people get tired of trout and walleye and pickerel, and so we do focus on hitting just Canadian waters for fish. I do try and support the Ocean-Wise program with the fish that I use, which is using sustainable sources as well for that. Something that I often encounter is staying local with dry goods, and through that I've found some different sources. I have some farmers that come that I use the product from, as far as flours and corn meals and oils. There are places like Christine Gourmet, which does oils, does specialty oils. Arva has a flour mill that we get a lot of our flour from. There's also a lot of dairy producers in the local area, so you can get Hewitt's, and you can use the yogurts and creams and milks from the local farmers as much as possible. Even more so at this time of year, a lot of my produce comes directly from the farmers market here in town. I'll go to the Burlington Farmers Market sometimes 2 or 3 times. Well, it's open 3 days a week. I'll go by that at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times, and specifically go to the farmers that I know are the growers and buy the products from them. I get to know the farmers directly. I get to know that the products are fresh. Often they're picked the day or the day before, and it just builds a very strong community. An event that is a local food event that I just recently took part in over the weekend was actually called Food Stop, and my restaurant was actually the only restaurant in Hamilton, Burlington, or Oakville to actually take part in it. And it was actually done, it was created by a chef named Michael Statlander and the Canadian Chef Congress to try and support local farms that are currently fighting a quarry going in and taking over their property. And my business went there and produced 2,500 portions of food for the 28,000 people that attended, just to say that you know, they support the keeping farms in southern Ontario and not digging holes where the farms and great growing medium is. One of the biggest challenges I do face, though, as a restaurant, is having access to knowing which sources are local. Often, at this point in time, when it comes to things like local bottled water, you know, for my restaurant, local hop, local it's local beer next to me, and local farmers, but sometimes getting to know where all the sources are, who is distributing local onions at all times, who is distributing carrots and beans and potatoes. This is something that I think is the biggest challenge, so that I can stay local. At this point in time, I'm spending probably about 10 hours a week going and collecting the ingredients that I need to run my restaurant. And you know, I think that an important direction for supporting the local community would be to have a more centralized sort of voice for the local food producers that can come together and say, this is what we have now, and this is where we can get it. So I think that it's a good direction we can move towards as well. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much, Slides, especially for your last comment. I think what we really want to hear from the panel too is how we can support bringing local to our community. So certainly suggestions like that are very much appreciated.